Hello and welcome, members of the Wonderverse. I'm Anna,
And I'm producer Nick.
and you're listening to episode 33 of Into the Wonderverse, your one and only source into all things Scarlet Witch and Agatha Harkness and friends. Um,
We're back to the Agatha Harkness.
well, yeah, I wonder why. Do you know why we're doing that this week, Nick?
I actually forgot.
Oh, it's but only because we have the Emmy-winning icon Daniel Selon on the show this week.
Yes,
For real, that actually happened.
that actually happened. Yeah.
I have been like telling the entire world, and I have been so excited about this interview. Thank you, Daniel. Before you even hear this interview, like, thank you so much for giving us your time, not just us, but to the fandom in general. Also, I want to quickly mention that Agatha is also nominated for Best Original Song for The Witch's Road at the Emmys. Also, like a huge good luck to them.
Yes, I saw that. Yes, no, good luck. Hopefully,
We can't sing the song because we got copyrighted last time,
we did,
but
didn't we? Yes, we did.
just know that we love you and I play it on repeat.
Just not on the podcast.
No, I was gonna like hum it, and I'm like, you know what? Just keep it clean. Just keep it clean. We're gonna quickly talk about some news. Next week will be a bit of a bumper news episode because we're gonna keep this a little bit more concise because we want you to hear Daniel's wisdom above all else. But I cannot skip without saying we got the release date for Marvel Zombies,
When is it coming?
September 24th. Whole show dropping on September 24th.
Oh, show. How
It's
many
it's
episodes?
it's 4 parts. So originally, apparently, they were going to do it as a movie, but they wanted to. The story was longer than a movie needed to be. We got so much news about this in this one Collider article. Shout out Collider, but also shout out Nexus News, who let us know that my baby, my angel, my sweet boy, Baron Zemo, is coming back. Daniel, bro, I love you. Come on the show for non-rush 2013
But for
related reasons.
non-rush reasons, yes.
But Baron Zemo's gonna be back. We are gonna get to see Taskmaster. We are gonna get to see Ghost, the Thunderbolts. They are gonna be in the show. We haven't got confirmation of Bucky, but we have heard that Blade Knight, so that's Moon Knight, but it's Blade. So cool. All together in one. Peter Parker will be back. But in this interview, they basically said like there are going to be deaths on screen, like it's going to be a proper zombie show. Like apparently they haven't even put out merch, right? Because what happens in episode 2 is apparently so traumatic and like shocking that they can't put out merch because it would give out spoilers.
So we're looking at 4 episodes, what, 20, 30 minutes each?
I don't know that. But I would imagine. I mean, if it was going to be a movie, maybe they're longer, maybe 45.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But all dropping on the same day. So, I will be sat. We have confirmation from Nexus News that we will be getting to see both Wanda's human form and her zombie form. And Lizzie Olsen will be voicing her. And she is the main villain. She is it girl. She is the queen.
Yeah, at no point are we into the Wonderverse podcast, the one and only Scarlet Witch podcast, advocating that you take the day off work or school. Um,
No, never, never, never. We stay in school, kids. Be
prepare
safe.
the just maybe, cash, just save your sick day. You got another month and a half. Like just if you're thinking, oh, I need to pull a sickie sometime soon, just
The
push it.
levels to which I will be sat for this show. I'm so excited. It comes out right before Halloween, right before I do my Agatha rewatch. I'm so ready for this. I would love. I don't think they are because I'm pretty sure the show was recorded back when they were recording like WandaVision, I believe. Because Lizzie Olsen was like, I filmed that 800 years ago. So I don't know when this was recorded, but obviously we've known it's been coming for like a very long time. Uh, Excited to hear it. We also got news that we are getting a bunch of panels at New York Comic Con for Marvel, including a Marvel animation panel and a Marvel Studios panel. So hopefully, Wonder Man trailer, Vision Quest update.
when is New York Comic Con?
Let me check. You literally sent me the article. I had seen it already, but you also sent me this article.
I
Uh,
keep
ba,
you on
ba,
your
ba, ba.
toes. This is what's going on right now.
Literally, you didn't. You actually sent me the D23 article. When is New York Comic Con? We're so professional on the show.
Disney, please hire us.
Literally, hire us. That's the 9th of October.
9th of October is New York Comic Con, so that's
Mm-hmm.
after after Marvel Zombies.
Yeah, but so fun, so excited about it. I'm sat. Um,
Excellent.
so yeah, that's coming. That's Wanda's next MCU appearance. We all need to show up. We all need to make edits. I can't wait for it. Let's go. And also, obviously, this year we will all be rewatching everybody's favorite witch, Agatha Harkness, Agatha All Along, October rewatch. We're all doing it, as you know, as you know. And what is obviously incredible on Agatha, other than the acting, the performance of the crew, is the costumes, which are now Emmy nominated. And get this, we got to speak to Daniel Selon about it, and that interview is coming right up. So tune in.
Yeah, so as is you probably come accustomed to, listeners, with these interviews, Hannah, you won't hear me. So Hannah did all the questioning and did all the chatting, and it was a great conversation as you're about to find out. But yeah, no, certainly one that it was a case of we were kind of pinching ourselves, weren't we? Kind of 3 o'clock in
Yeah,
the morning, just being like, oh wow, that actually happened.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Still hasn't hit me. Um,
should we play the interview for
let's
everybody
play the
then?
interview. See you afterwards, guys.
Well, today we have a very exciting walk down the Witch's Road because we are joined by the wonderful Daniel Selin, who did the costume design for Agatha and was also assistant costume designer on WandaVision, Multiverse of Madness, and Thor: Love and Thunder, I believe, as well as Mythical Mornings for those who are tuned in.
Yes.
Welcome, Daniel.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here and step into your world and talk about this.
We're so happy to have you. I think that a lot of us consider you because of how active you are in the community. I think a lot of you consider like our coven master a little bit as well as Catherine and
Oh
Jack.
my God. I'm honored.
Um, so WandaVision was your first Marvel project, I believe. I was going to ask you like how did that come about for you? How did you get involved with Marvel to kind of begin with?
Yeah, it was my first project. It was a very kismet moment in my life when I had been costume designing lots of different things, small things, non-union things, lots of
Hmm.
comedy, lots of short form things that I felt like I'd kind of reached a ceiling
Yeah.
at. And I was like, what do I really want to do? And I really love fantasy sci-fi and always had, but never really dreamed of designing it because I
Hmm.
just had never put my mind there. And then I thought, well, why not? And that would be so cool to learn from somebody who does that really well. And
Yeah.
then by happenstance, like by the circumstances, I was working in the hat shop at Western Costume Company, which is this sort of costume hub for rentals and things that are made in Los Angeles. And Maias Rubeo, the costume designer, was starting to prep WandaVision, and she had an office there, and she was kind of wandering the halls and asking people if they knew anybody that was a good assistant costume designer. And I think like three different people that she asked in different worlds recommended me. And so I met with her and we just got along like giddy school children on a first date in my interview and hit it off. And it was kind of just off to the races from there. We
Yeah.
were attached at the hip all the way through uh, the end of Thor: Love and Thunder. And then we did Blue Beetle together as well.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, you're really the superhero world really chose you.
I know. I'm so grateful. Yeah, it was really one time Maya said she's like she looked at me, I think we were driving somewhere and she kind of turned to me and she said, "Wow, you really came in through the big doors." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, thank you. I guess I did." And I really have her to thank. I truly learned so much from her. She is a goddess of design and costume design, and she just really leads with joy and light and deep creative imagination. And I just learned so much from her, and I really felt like I was carrying this family torch into the next project by getting to design Agatha,
Yeah.
having been around for the origination of all those characters in WandaVision.
Did you grow up enjoying Marvel or was this kind of your first foray in general? Were you like into the MCU or did you just come in with fresh eyes?
I wasn't a comic book kid, and
Hmm.
I am always a little loath to admit that. But I had an appreciation for them, but I didn't collect them. I wasn't into, there wasn't like any one particular storyline that I was really obsessed with,
Hmm.
except for watching like the X-Men TV show. I think the animated show was really
Yeah.
maybe my closest thing. Um, and so it was always an education, which is kind of great because every project that I've been a part of, I have to really go back to the source material and learn who's who and kind of lay out the web and understand who's connected and how.
Yeah.
Um, and it's always fun. It's a puzzle.
Absolutely. I think that sometimes it can be good to not have like preconceived notions of what a character should look like, especially with, I mean, obviously there's always references, but sometimes it can be good, especially with Agatha, who had such kind of a different entrance into Marvel than she does in the comics. And a question I had here was, what did you think Agatha was kind of wearing when she arrived in Westview? Because I feel like you kind of like, do you think that what do you think her personal casual style is like? Because I don't think she should. I mean, I know we saw her fly in the kind of like full witch gear,
hmm
but do you think that it will be similar to the coat? Did she bring that with her to Westview, do you think?
Oh, I definitely think she brought that with her. Yeah, that was something that we really wanted that coat for Agatha all along to feel like something that she had had for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to think that she keeps a sort of Mary Poppins style bag where, there's just an infinite number of historical pieces from all of her lives past are
I hope
in
she
there.
kept the leather jacket. I really hope she kept that leather jacket.
Totally. Yes, exactly. From her 90s coffee shop, Seattle grunge time.
Yes,
Um,
right next to the dark hold.
yes, exactly.
Um,
Um, yeah.
I wanted to ask a little bit before we fully go into Agatha because our audience will want to know what was it like kind of coming off of WandaVision where obviously we had Wanda's final sort of Scarlet Witch look to then going to Multiverse of Madness where you know it kind of all obviously it's roughly the same costume but like this very different Wanda from the WandaVision version of Wanda.
Yeah, that was a trip. It was Wanda was such a sweet, little treat of a character in WandaVision in that we got to sort of make her over again and again. And it was all these very romanticized images from her happiest memories.
Hmm.
Um, but I think that what's so wonderful about the character is that there is a real she's always on the precipice of like sort of falling down the mountain one way
Hmm.
towards bad and or falling down the mountain towards good. And that's what's so exciting about her is that it's this potential for like which one is she?
Hmm.
Which way is she gonna go? And so I really kind of found it delicious that in Multiverse of Madness, she takes this dark streak, and even with the costume itself, the pattern that was dimensionally screen printed, onto the fabrics,
Hmm.
create that sort of scale texture. Um, it was, they took it and Graham Churchyard was the costume designer from Multiverse of Madness, and
Hmm.
he and his team did this really brilliant thing where they took the existing graphic and then they sort of shot it in the heart.
Yeah.
So it was as if, yeah, you've seen it where it's this like sort of broken glass, sort of spider webbing out, and
Hmm.
it's really like it's corrupting the existing graphic. And I really love that because I love things that are cerebral and tell a story, behind the reason why they did something visually. Um, and that one I thought was so satisfying.
Absolutely. I do love it. I've worn a version of the costume and I do think it was such a the way that they corrupted her, even her makeup was very
Mhm.
gorgeous to look at.
Mhm.
I think
Scary though, it was scary, and I remember having a conversation with Lizzie about um, being like, I think a lot of this scene kind of got cut from Multiverse of Madness, but there was this fight when she's barefoot and she's wearing sort of civilian
yeah.
wear, jeans and this like sweater shirt. Um, she fights these robots, and
Hmm.
it's the the oil that's their blood that sort of spills all over her, which is how she gets the sort of dripping, covered in it's not blood, it's oil look.
Yes.
Um, and there was so much more of that fight, and it sort of explained why she was covered so much. And I think a lot of that got trimmed away.
Hmm.
Um, but she, I came into the project so late when the photography was moving to Los Angeles, and I had a long talk with her, and she was just like, "Oh my God, if I have to wear that oily, bloody costume for another day, I don't know if I'm gonna make it." And I
She
was like,
did
"Don't
spend
worry,
a long time running
yeah, yeah,
around
so long."
in
Yeah.
the vents and that. It's funny because people really loved the 838 like corrupted look to the point that there was like a campaign until we got a Funko Pop. We like wanted it so bad. We were like, we need it. We need the blood covered Scarlet.
Totally. I know. It's so intense.
Um, there's actually a fan question that I kind of brought up from that. They said was there a character? Let me check exactly who said it, but the question was, is there a look that you don't that what you did for Agatha all along that you felt like didn't get as much love as the others that you wish people talked about more?
Hmm.
That was from Collections Complete Creations.
Uh-huh. Well collections, complete creations. I think that, Ghost Agatha really didn't get her due. And I
Mhm.
think, she's mostly transparent. She's kind of floating. There was a lot of really cool things about that costume that uh gave the camera, sort of a natural special effect of like the cloak was sort of ethereal and floated around her even without any wind
Mhm.
or VFX augmentation. And so it was always a little bit of a we weren't sure how that would pan out. So do I wish that that one could be seen a little more clearly or just even had more camera time? Definitely. But you know what I think? I really loved the look that she wears when she first leaves the house in episode 2 to gather the coven and
Mhm.
they get in the car and it's just jeans and this oversized shirt
And the
and the
hat.
fedora, yeah, and the sunglasses and there was something that really hit for me about that because it was capturing a little bit of what I think makes Agatha so special, which is Catherine Hahn.
Mhm.
And it was very much in the pocket of Catherine's personal style. And so it was a nice transition point from being in a fantasy space of the, Detective Agnes into who am I, where am I?
Mhm.
And I really liked the way that it played, and we were able to transform it with the shawl. And, I was just really fun for me to play with contemporary pieces in that way.
I think it was really fun as well how you played with her hair across that episode where she's kind of wearing the same outfit, but obviously when she's trying to appeal to different members of the coven, she's got obviously the Catherine's long hair for this version of Agatha was so gorgeous, and I think it really, you know, accents every look that she's in. But I do think that the way the hair changed with the costume also kind of showed us these different fragments of Agatha's personality.
Yeah, I'm glad that you noticed that. That was definitely intentional. And we wanted her to transform so that every witch that she went to meet, she put on a different air.
Hmm. I definitely felt that, especially like almost mirroring them a little bit because when she meets Lilia, she's got the shawl and her hair is up and she's kind of trying to, I think, look a little bit like older and more maybe not quite motherly because Agatha
Mhm,
doesn't.
totally.
But, to appeal to like Lilia, who's this kind of, well, she's much older than she would appear on screen, but
Yes.
I think that this for me, I've obviously been with Marvel for a long time. This show felt very different in terms of the fandom itself that it's created and maybe who it appeals to as an audience and the cultural impact that it had. And you're so active in the fandom and how female led and LGBT led this fandom is that do you think that that's something special to Agatha?
I can't really speak to other, crew members' experience. On other shows. I would like to say yes. I would like to say that this show sort of broke the mold for the fan engagement and how much it means to people. And that may be true, but I can't totally claim that. But I
Mm-hmm.
what I do know is that it has changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
I really went into the release of Agatha biting my nails a little bit, and I just wasn't sure how it was going to be received. I thought it could just kind of drop into the flow of the river and maybe just float on by. And, sometimes great things are made and they just don't get seen
Hmm.
because of the timing or because of whatever's going on, politically in the world.
Hmm.
And this one just kind of sank in. It just really it had teeth and it caught. And so when it was released, I was like, well, I need to do some social media. I just knew that it was an opportunity to kind of engage and make sure that by the end of it, my Instagram was like a, portfolio for my
Hmm.
work. That was
Absolutely.
really the goal. And the real relationships and the real art exchange of people being inspired, people being moved, sharing their personal stories of love and loss and creative creation of making costumes or making other kinds of applied art. It just blew me away, and I really had no choice but to respond and engage. And it's become this really almost like a ceremonial process for me, or it's there's something holy about it.
Hmm.
I really cherish the relationship with cosplayers and the queer fans who have this show was therapy for them in some ways, or it was
Absolutely.
a
To see,
friend that they had in the darkness.
I think for me is I think that seeing I know that Agatha died in the show, but for me, death being a lesbian after like kill your lesbians being a thing just hit differently a little bit because like I've been through heartbreak with queer characters kind of starting with Brittany and Santana on Glee. I really
Sure.
felt like this was yes Agatha, but she kind of chooses love at the end even though she is kind of reluctant about it. And I felt that I just feel like Aubrey Plaza as a queer death is kind of everything I was ever asking for in the world.
Yeah, I mean, working with Aubrey was such a special experience. In from the first meeting, which was in Los Angeles, and we did like a three-dimensional scan,
Hmm.
um, so that we could make body forms of her exact form, so we could make all the Lady Death and everything. Um, and she, at the end of that, maybe 45 minutes, was like, went from being totally trepidatious about who I was and what this project was going to be
Hmm.
to divulging to me that everything in her life had led up to this playing this character. And she meant it. She's like
Yeah,
she identifies as a witch and she, is a magical person. She really has a power about her and she used it with such aplomb in this show. She really brought a completely fresh frequency to that character and was just really perfect. I think it was just like such a perfect match.
absolutely. I feel like nobody could have done it like her or and I think that the varied representation of queer characters in this show is so interesting, especially, we're really witnessing Billy finding himself, and I think that that shows through the costumes. And I've seen that you talking about that a little bit before in other interviews, how we're building up to the Wiccan suit essentially, but you see like little hints of it as we're going along. But I think that watching him find his identity, and obviously Agatha's very comfortable in her identity, and they're going down this road together. And I think that that is maybe a little bit symbolic of her being this older queer woman leading this boy who's just starting out in the world.
Yeah, you know what I love about that relationship, and I haven't thought about this in a minute, is just the way that I think Agatha does the math. She's kind of always doing the math
Hmm.
on who and what and how she can stay ahead and all of it, but she doesn't know who Teen is right away. She
Hmm.
has her hunch, and she tries on a couple different hypotheses, I think, but it's just nice to feel that presence of the adult or the mentor going on the journey with the young person and acknowledging like I have an idea of who you are, but I don't actually know. Like,
Mhm.
you need to show me. And that is something that I think we can all take into our lives. It's like we so often, because of human nature and also because of the way we're conditioned in our world, try to shove everybody into boxes or put labels or understand exactly who they are and what they like and what they don't like. And I think that there's a lot that we miss when we do that. And it would be so much better to hold each other with an open fist in a way, just kind of like be firm, but leave the boundaries soft and allow someone to reveal themselves in their time or discover themselves and not try to rush it along or draw it out too soon. Um, and I just love the way that that landed in the show.
Mhm.
Uh, so yeah, I
Absolutely.
wish that for others.
Yeah, I just think it's a yeah, I think that there is a lot of heartwarming. Again, there's so much tension in this coven, but I think there's also so much, they are so separate. And one of my questions was, what was it like to design costumes where you're very much designing very individual people, but you know that they have to kind of come together as a coven? And did you consider kind of a lot how their looks would come together when they're all standing in a line, especially with their sort of, their personal costumes? So Jen's pink dress and like Lilia's like yellow. Obviously, they've all got their own color.
Yeah, silhouette and the way that they all will work together as an ensemble is super important to me. And it's also just, important for the design of it so that don't always get to see a character in full light or, see all of them or they're moving very quickly or whatever it may be. And to design a memorable silhouette is very important. And in my initial thoughts about the show, I was like, oh, witches, and they're on this journey and they're having adventures. And I was like, oh, they should have these like, voluminous skirts and so that we
Mhm.
can get lots of fabric and they can have to pick it up and step over the logs and all of this. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. Like they're going to be flying and there's going to be stunts and there's no way they can
Uh-huh.
wear skirts actually. So how do we design things that feel like they have volume? So like Lilia's pants would be palazzo pants,
Hmm.
partially because they were, a bit Mediterranean and of the time and place, but um, it just was that was also sort of how the volume of Agatha's coat came about because I wanted her to initially I thought, oh, she should wear a skirt, but Agatha wears the pants, so the coat got the skirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a my biggest gripe right now is that we have the WandaVision legend, but they never made a an Agatha legend for the Agatha all along, and so I don't have the obviously I have the Funko, but I don't have the coat in a
Hmm.
legend form, and I need it.
Hmm. Yes.
Um, if I this is I was wondering, Agatha has her kind of, I guess, superhero outfit, which is the dress, and then Wiccan has this kind of final Wiccan look. And Jennifer Kale is obviously a very significant comic book character. Did you guys consider at all what her like sort of hero look would be? Because she makes it to the end of the road and she's gonna go onwards and upwards. Did you consider at all what her like superhero look might be?
That's interesting. I have not. I can't say off the top of my head what that would be, but I think for her, she's such a conundrum because she really does love things that are super femme and
Hmm.
she loved to, have things that played into her curves and sort of were, objectively beautiful, but also she's so hard and
Hmm.
she's so defensive and so so sharp that I kind of wonder if maybe her superhero look would sort of touch on the fact that she's no longer bound and
Yeah.
there's something sort of like released about her energy now.
Hmm.
Uh, and maybe she's going back to a power that she felt before she was bound. And what was she doing then? She was working in um, obstetrics and like delivering babies and doing that magic. And maybe there's something there.
Absolutely. And she's had her brush with death. So, and like giving birth is like helping people give birth very much about life. So like very
Yeah.
important. light because I feel like Jen is so I loved her little obviously the potion necklace I think is maybe my favorite just because I felt like it was so dainty and feminine and but it kind of hints at this sort of and because it's like like the heart is almost it kind of looks like a heart at the bottle almost tangled. I feel like it kind of I know she had the chains to represent being bound, but I also felt like her little necklace was also quite compacted and small.
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
just think that that was a I loved her necklace so much from the show. I had
Yeah.
a question from the fans about Agatha's brooch actually and the difference between it in Agatha All Along and WandaVision. It was from Ree from Nowhere, and she said, "I'd love to hear about the changes to the locket from WandaVision to Agatha All Along, and if there was any particular reason that it was different in Agatha All Along."
Well, I think that was a choice that needed to be made because of the fact that it would reveal this lock of hair. And the lock of hair was such a piece of the mystery that we needed to introduce early and would pay off later
Mm-hmm.
that it was that for me that sort of falls into the category of how can we level up on this character.
Mm-hmm.
The cameo, brooch was really Maya Rubeo's idea.
Mm-hmm.
She liked that as a sort of period reference for Agatha from Victorian time, and which is really what is the source material in the comic influences. And so she came up with that and she wanted to be the three graces. And then it just so beautifully was a seed that was planted in WandaVision that we just let the flower bloom. And, I think that's what's kind of fun about these characters and the world of the MCU is as long as you're celebrating the item or the idea and you're building on it, I think it's okay to change it. I think
Yeah,
it gets boring when we lock ourselves into it has to be this way and it has to function this exact way. And there's just so much to be found. And the comics did that, so why shouldn't
yeah,
we?
absolutely. I mean, one of the other questions that I have from JTM under slash now is, did you have a favorite Wanda comic era to pull inspiration from? And, because she's had so many different costumes over the years.
For Wanda.
Yeah.
I really loved we pulled a lot for WandaVision, we pulled a lot from the House of M.
Mm-hmm.
Just in the way that like even the sort of visual storytelling of like the frequency of television broadcast like breaking up and the way that
Mm-hmm.
people would sort of break up and come in and out of the hex that was definitely a big inspiration. And then um oh my gosh, you guys are going to expose my inability to remember any names of anything ever. The road where she's on the road with
Yes.
like her mother and it's like the generations. The I loved how um sort of that existed in this liminal space,
Yes.
and there was like a lack of where what's up, what's down, and they're sort of just in this dreamlike space where anything can happen and you're being led and you're being shown. That really affected me, and I just like things that are totally surreal and wholly bizarre. So that really hit for me, and I think I always try to like keep one hand on that as how ethereal it can get.
Absolutely. That's one of my favorite runs. And obviously I was so excited when I found out they were adapting The Road because I thought, I think that The Witches Road is such a cool concept of this space that is for witches. And is kind of this misfit of magic kind of space. Stan Wanda said, "Is there a character you'd love to style from the comics? I know you're not huge, but is there somebody who you've kind of come across since you've been in Marvel who you're like, oh, I would love to make a costume for them?"
Well, working on Thor: Love and Thunder was so fun because there were so many characters in it.
Hmm.
Um, Working on the Guardians of the Galaxy for that was a total bucket list item, and I had a great time. They were in the movie so briefly, but those costumes were stunning. And I really loved Valkyrie. Like, I want to do more with King Valkyrie.
Yeah.
She's so cool, and Tessa Thompson is so cool, and just a rad human being, and was very open and collaborative. And I just think that there's, again, here I am, like leaning into, a sort of gender bending, like a lesbian Viking. But I just think that there's a lot to be found there with her character.
Absolutely. I think that we all need to see more of King Valkyrie in general. One look in the Marvels isn't enough. Let's bring her back immediately. Um, but I also just wanted to ask you, obviously we touched a little bit on the fandom and obviously how much beautiful art that there's been and the influences that it's come from. And obviously you've been involved in the Coven True project, which all the proceeds go to the Trevor project. Is that fan? I couldn't quite tell. Is that fan or does that come directly from you?
That is created by a fan. And I was just blown away by it. She uh, just took it upon herself. I think that she is just a community member in the way where some people are a magnet
Hmm.
and they just can't help but be helpful.
Yeah.
And she was sort of fielding, people and their needs and helping them get services or just counseling or whatever it was. And then I think it was, that was the project was born out of that because so she was already helping people and contacted me and was like, I'm doing this project. Can I send you some stuff? And I said, oh my gosh, absolutely. I want to put some bandanas on my dogs. Uh, and I'm just so proud of the Coven taking the charge up on that and really helping each other. That is what it's all about. That's real magic right there. That's community healing itself. And you can't ask for more than to have created art that has inspired real assistance and real cultural shifting. That's
Yeah,
the
it's
greatest compliment ever. It's the best.
well, yeah, I just think that this show and kind of the touching on, which imagery through the years, I think that it was especially like the credits. I know that's not entirely you, but I think the way that it took on so many stereotypes and kind of twisted them on their head has created some of the best art. Seeing all the Agatha and Rio artwork together is just, I think that it's something so special and beautiful that a show that came out like it's a Halloween classic. I can't wait to do my like Halloween rewatch this year and to on the full moon and everything.
Yes, I know. I've been thinking about that too. I want to host like some kind of screening party or something. That would be so fun.
I had a party last year and we built the road, but I ordered too little leaves, and so it was
No,
a very small road because
that's amazing.
it only do the doorway, and I hung like tarot cards from our ceiling at my flat, and I was like, everybody just pretend that the road is a lot longer than it is.
Well, the road is a circle, so you could have just put them in like a circle.
That's fair. I've ordered more leaves for this year because I
Wow,
was
that
like,
sounds fantastic if you're going that hard on the decorations. I love that.
well, I think that if you're going to do something, you should do it properly.
Yes. Clearly you do that. You are a pillar of this community with your podcast. It's amazing. You're the historian.
Oh, thank you so much. That like really means a lot to me because I think that this story encapsulated, I think that Agatha was so camp and fun on WandaVision, and to transform this, she was a very camp villain. It was serious, but it was kind of unserious well with Agatha all along. To then take that kind of meme phrase and create a show that its heart is about kind of like child loss and grief. And I think that that was so incredible to choose to do with that story when it could have been a kind of very silly send up of witches. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, and that's all Jack Schaefer and Mary Labanos.
Hmm.
Taking something and taking the source material and saying, yes, we will acknowledge and respect its core, and we're going to develop it into something more and really special, something we haven't seen, and give it a lot of heart. They just, the heart that you feel in the show is actually because the people that were making it were feeling those feelings. They
Hmm.
wanted it to be the show to be a spell for
Yeah.
good. And, you know, the Coven True is a perfect example of that being evidence.
Well, you say for good, and I think some of like, and obviously Wicked coming out at the same time, and then we had the most incredible Glinda look on
Oh, yes,
Patti
of course.
LuPone. Um,
Oh, yes. Yes.
um, that dress and the image of her falling. Did you know she was gonna fall in this dress when you were kind of designing it and like that movement for
Yes.
her,
Yes.
or is that something that came
100%.
later?
Yeah, and I can't like stress enough how amazing it is that Jack and the writers wrote such an in-depth outline and then scripts where so many of these visuals were on the page.
Mm-hmm.
They were there and truly inspired and gave me so much to go off of.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that we would have, I didn't know that the shot would sort of be, in the window of the castle tower and all of that was so stunning.
Mm-hmm.
But we knew that we would see her falling in slow motion and I was like, well, it has to be these like voluminous layers, like the seeing fabric in slow motion is always so satisfying. And um so yeah, I it was a gift to receive these 9 scripts and just pull all the gems out of them and bring them to visual light.
Yeah, because I just felt like the look was so perfect, and it was such a great reference to the 1939 film because obviously we didn't know what Ariana was going to look like,
Yeah.
and but I think that to see two Glindas on screen in the same year was also
I
kind of
mean,
lovely.
it's I know when I chickened out telling Paul Tazewell that I also had to design Glinda in this show when I chatted with him at the Costume Designers Guild Awards this year. But because I'm such a fan of his and I think his work is spectacular
Hmm.
and I just adored Wicked and I can't wait for the next one. And to have our show be, speaking some of the same language in the same year was an absolute mind-boggling trip for me.
Well, your designs are so incredible, and they are. I do believe they're so iconic. Like especially like I think about the coat at least once a day. Like
Oh
it's
my
on my
gosh, you're
mind.
so sweet. Thank you. Thank you.
I when I was watching the making of for the first time and I saw the runes on the inside, I like was screenshotting it so that I could look more closely at just all the
Mhm.
beautiful detail. When you were talking about Wiccan's cloak having both wonder and vision like imbued in it, I was like, this is just somebody who understands so deeply and cares so much about building that story through costume. And I just think that's such an incredible talent to have.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I mean, I feel suited to telling story about grief because I've experienced a lot of extreme grief in my life. And I think that, loss and trauma are really a part of our story. They're a part of our history. They are our scars. And you can't be crushed by the story or the events on the timeline. You need to leverage them and be inspired by them and wear them proudly. And for me, telling Billy's story of, identifying himself,
Hmm.
coming out into his power, telling a story of queer women, it was just like I was really getting to exercise so many things in my personal life. I feel so grateful for the experience, for the opportunity.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful. And I think it was lovely that Billy's always, like, his story is not, so many queer stories tend to be about coming out and what that's like. And Billy comes out into his power, but he's already comfortable with the fact that, his sexuality is not something that we need to, like, it's not a sad story. It's
That's right.
very much a story of empowerment, I feel, because, he's taken on the secondary identity of, he's having a second life almost as Billy, but in Billy Kaplan's body, And so I think that fish out of water just speaks so much to the queer experience in general.
Absolutely. And also the fact that I think both with Billy and Wanda, when their power manifests, I would dare say that they don't necessarily love how it manifests every
Mhm.
time.
Yeah.
And they are at odds with that, certainly. And that creates a really compelling character when somebody, has great power, but they can't exactly control it just yet, or its nature is sometimes of destruction or creation or, altering reality, and it affects other people. That is always interesting. And I think there is a lesson there of, when as we each individually come into our power, how we just need to kind of let it happen, let it show up in the way that it will, and not force it to be something that we think it needs to be.
Absolutely.
Um, we need to just sort of become the witch we were meant to be. And that requires a little bit of holding our tongue and listening to the universe and um, just letting it happen, getting out of our own way.
Letting nature take its course. Now,
Hmm.
the costumes in the show are so incredible that you've been nominated again for an Emmy because obviously you won for with Maya for WandaVision already. But I wanted to ask what you thought Agatha would wear to the Emmys if she was going to go.
Oh my gosh. What would Agatha wear to the Emmys? I think that she would have like a full-on, real make a meal out of it and probably wear some kind of ball gown. Even though, the Emmys sometimes tends to be a little more like chic
Yeah,
and not necessarily like cumbersome Met Gala dresses. I think she would take the moment and probably wear something like that would, take up 3 chairs instead of the one that she's being allotted.
absolutely. And do you think she would let Rio be her date, or do you think that she's going stag?
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah. I don't know that Rio would deign to attend the Emmys. I think she would watch from the shadows or mess with the PA system or something during the broadcast.
Yeah, I can see it now. It'd be like this witch just took up 3 chairs with her ginormous skirt, and maybe hex some people, but we can't tell.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So is there anything that you would like our audience to go and take a look at of yours? Is there something coming up for you that you're passionate about and would like to give a little shout out to?
Well, I did just work on Spider Noir, which
Mm-hmm.
will be out in 2026, and it's going to be really cool. I was not previously stand for Spider-Man, but I am now, and especially Nicolas Cage. I just
Mm-hmm.
think he is tops, and he is so funny, and it's really a refreshing examination and sort of a little fun multiverse version of Spider-Man, and it's great. So check that out for sure. That'll be on Amazon.
I'm so excited. And this is cheeky. Could you give us 3 words that give us a taste of what those costumes are going to look like?
Yes. Saturated, foggy, and dire.
Ooh, I'm so excited because I love film noir and like noir references, and I love Nick Cage. So I think this is going to be
Yeah,
so
it's a
fun.
fun one. Yeah, I had the pleasure of assisting Tracy Field on that one, and it was a good time.
Well, thank you so, so much for being such a wonderful part of this community and for, you know, like celebrating fan work and fan involvement because it makes projects, I think, last longer and we just really appreciate it. I'm going to speak on behalf of the Coven here for a second and just say a big thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome, and thank you for, keeping the torch burning and keeping the conversations alive and pointing out all of the sweet little details. It just means the world that you are interested and you stay interested. And I adore my coven. I love you all, and thank you for tuning in. And keep an eye on my Instagram as we do this push for the Emmys because there's some fun stuff coming at you.
Always, and I will be reporting on the news on TikTok for everybody to see it there as well.
Please do. Thank you.
I'll see you down the road, Daniel.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much, Hannah.
Thank you.
So thank you so, so much again. I know I just said it, but thank you, Daniel. That was amazing. Good luck to the entire Agatha All Along team at the Emmys. You could not deserve it more. I was literally, someone was just in my DMs the other day talking about how the coat changed their life, the Agatha coat, and how we wish the coat got its own show. Because Agatha's coat got its own show. If you haven't seen already, obviously the artwork for this episode was drawn by the amazing Lily, and it is comic Agatha talking to Agatha in the coat, and just check Lily out. Also, Marvel, while you're hiring, also hire Lily.
Yeah, no, hire Lily. Like the art for no, seriously, like no, seriously, guys. The artwork for this particular kind of episode that is put together, is really really cool, and like she really knocks it out of the park for us each and every time we ask her to
Literally,
do
I
something.
DM her and I'm like, hey, Lily, can I hire you again? Lily.
And for
It's
some
just
reason,
me
she
at
keeps saying
3
yes.
a.m. Yes. And don't worry, guys, I have another Lily original coming really soon, so be sat for that. Next week we will be talking comics, but we will also be talking about X-Men and the Wolverine
That
because
is the plan.
we have so many amazing interviews coming up for you guys. You're going to be super spoiled. We've been saving them up. But yes, so if you want to pre-watch the first half of the X-Men and the Wolverine series before you listen to the episode, that would be smart.
Yeah,
Um,
so I did some looking. It isn't actually on Disney Plus, at least not in the UK. It is out there. I think the Archive website has it
mhm.
if you're looking for a way to watch it. And I'm about 75% sure it is available on the Disney Plus in America. For
Yeah.
some reason, we don't have it in the UK. So, if
Do
not, I'm
do
pretty
you
sure you can.
want to know why that is?
No, go for it. I'm interested.
So, backstory, it aired in the UK on CBC. So it is owned by I'm pretty sure the BBC still have the publishing rights
Oh.
in the UK.
So we all tied up with them.
Hmm.
Interesting. So
Facts
if
and tea from me.
yep, so if you want to watch, if you're from the UK and you want to watch Wolverine the X-Men, contact the BBC.
Yeah, ask them nicely and maybe they'll just give it to you for free.
But I'm pretty sure it is available on DVD, which you can find on eBay and Amazon and what have you. And it is the first
I'm
13
still looking.
episodes.
I'm still looking for it on DVD. It's one of
Yeah.
my things I'm still looking for. Yes. So watch the first 13 episodes. We will be talking comics as well. Nick's gonna do his Ultimates catch up, and we'll do a big news breakdown for everybody. Like it more in depth. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. If you are desperate for more from us, then you can find me over at Into the Wonderverse on TikTok, the Wonderverse on Instagram, my slightly unhinged self on Twitter, the Wonderverse, and kind of the Wonderverse everywhere, or like on Letterboxd, Hannah Maximoff.
You're more unhinged on Twitter than in real life.
Yes, actually. Well, it's
Um,
always me wearing when I'm on Twitter. That's just basically me in the black bob wig on.
does she have a name yet, this alter ego of yours?
No, I'm still workshopping it. Though she made an appearance on live the other day. I was in the wig again.
Okay.
But no, she will make a real appearance on TikTok soon because I have stuff to say.
Excellent. I look forward to it.
Hmm.
In the meantime, you can find me on Instagram at the Film Nick, where I am posting stuff, believe it or not.
Yay! And
Yay!
Nick hit 100 followers and then said he was famous.
I didn't say that.
Um,
I am on TikTok at the Film Nick. I'm not posting up on there because I'm getting my head around Instagram a bit. And my letterboxd is the same, the Film Nick, where you can see me watching. Currently, I don't know, I watch Weapons. So yeah, that was that.
I just want to say, for some people have been asking me, I only log Rush when I watch the whole thing from start to finish. So if you're wondering why I haven't logged Rush from a little bit, it's because I watch half of Rush and then I watch Drive to Survive,
I'm
and then
really
I
looking
watch more
forward to
Rush.
your letterboxd catch up in December. Your review of the year in December.
Ron Howard is going to be my number one, and Daniel Bruhl's going to be my number one actor. Because I watched a bunch of other stuff with Daniel Bruhl in this
And you did Sebastian Stan as
because
well
I love him, and I think he should come on the podcast.
to talk about Baron Zemo.
Yes, and about Rush at all,
Yes.
or how I think that he should be in a Bros 80s film. If you know, you know.
On that note.
Anyway. Yes. Thank you again so much, Lily, for the artwork. Music by Melody Ray Griffiths. And until I see you next time, stay magical.